Okay, so yesterday they did all the concrete flat work for the garage floor and the basement, and those were pretty cool shots to get. But today I'm heading out to Stafford Place to meet up with Don from DR Nelson and Associates. They do all the energy sealing for Airhart's homes. Now, I don't know a lot about energy sealing. I just know that Airhart takes it to a whole nother level compared to most builders. So I thought I'd pop out there and see what it's all about. Hey Don, nice to meet you.
Hi Sean, nice to meet you.
I hear you're the guy to talk about energy sealing for homes.
I've been doing it for a while, almost 40 years now.
Can you real quick run through why we need to energy seal a home?
Sure. There are several key benefits to properly energy sealing a home. The first is obvious. We want to stop the air that you pay for to heat in the wintertime or air conditioning in the summer. We want to stop that air from escaping, literally leaking out of the house. The second benefit is in the integrity of the value, the resistance of the insulation. By stopping air movement in walls, we protect the R value, the resistance to heat flow of the insulation, by minimizing convection that occurs in the wall cavities. And then the third benefit is indoor air quality. Once you have a tightly built, well-constructed house, you can then control the volume, all the air in that house with your mechanical equipment, your furnace, your air conditioning, humidifier, dehumidifier, your air cleaner. They all work much more effectively when you can control the air that's in your house. It's not just leaking out.
So not every builder does the extent that Airhart
No, very few builders approach it like Airhart team does. They understand what we're trying to accomplish, and they believe in it because it creates value for the home buyers, and it reduces their service expense, makes for happy customers.
Now let's go take a look at some of those things that you do.
Here we have a base plate, and you'll notice if you get at the right angle, you can actually see the daylight. You can see under that base plate all the way to the wall and the ceiling, everything on that, and it still isn't compressing the wood. There's an air gap there, so that's got to be sealed. The fireplace chase is constructed on an exterior wall, and so that wall is cold, and that wall has to be insulated. We want that chase, the fireplace itself, to be in an insulated chase so that convection can occur, that the flue gases can go up and out the chimney. If this wall on the exterior side is not properly insulated and, just as importantly, sealed effectively, there'll be cold air in there, and it'll make that fireplace difficult to initiate convection, and backdrafting could occur. So we seal that entire chase and make sure that fireplace box stays nice and warm. It's also a comfort issue. We've had homeowners in the past complain about the fireplace chase, the metal fireplace inserts, get cold in the winter, and that's undoubtedly because the builder did not insulate and properly seal the chase that the fireplace sits on. Up here, under the second floor, you can see this bedroom area hangs out into the garage just a little bit. Sometimes we see just a small hang like this. This happens to be just an inch or so. And that area under the floor joist has to be sealed effectively, or that cold, unconditioned air from the garage and the garage attic will get in the floor area of that second floor bedroom and make that bedroom very uncomfortable, cold. Now let's take a look at this gap here in the rim joist of the basement. And here we can see several vertical gaps where the wood comes together, and then on the sill, what's called the sill plate, that plate that holds the rim joist onto the top of the concrete wall, you'll see a gap right there. This has got to be effectively sealed around the entire perimeter of this floor rim joist it's called, in order to protect the integrity of the insulation and stop air from leaking into and out of the house.
Because a lot of that wrap actually falls short of covering that.
That's right. The wrap doesn't cover it effectively. It terminates, it ends in that area. One of the sure signs that you'll see of an improperly sealed rim joist in the basement is that a spider will weave its web in that area. So the spider is really a fisherman. All they do is put that web out there in the river and wait for the insects to come in the river of air, the air that comes through that rim joist, and get caught in that spider web. So you see a spider web, there's a source of air leakage, air movement very close by. These days the codes require the flashing on the outside, so that's really a reasonably decent air barrier, but we still fill the jamb, the area between the window jamb itself and the framed wall with an expanding foam sealant, a closed cell foam sealant. And we like to get that sealant as close to the exterior wall as we can. It has R5 per inch, which is at least 3 times the insulation value of chinked fiberglass that many builders will put in there. But the reason that we want to use that closed cell foam is that it has a very good R value and will keep this jamb warm by not letting any cold air conduction come in from the outside towards the inside. So we keep this jamb warm, and it reduces the opportunity for condensation to occur, water vapor to condense around the perimeter of the window where it's the coldest. Okay, we're under the attic, a floor under the attic, and a lot of people wonder why we would seal an electrical outlet or any penetration on an interior partition that's under the attic. And the reason that we do it is that if the warm air, the conditioned air that you've paid for in the winter, cooled in the summer, if the warm air gets in there, rises up, it goes out into the gap that's at the top plate between the drywall and the top plate, and it will make its way up into the attic. So it's important to seal any penetration that feeds air to an exterior surface, whether it's a wall or a ceiling.
Okay, Don, so a lot is done to make sure this home is properly energy sealed, but how does a consumer know how well their home is being sealed? I mean, what do you do to verify that?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. And the key is the blower door test. There is a test that can be done at the end of construction. It can only be done at the end of construction when the house is pretty much completely finished. And then there's a pressure test, often called a blower door test, that quantifies the rate of air leakage in the whole house. The energy code, since 2009, we've had an energy code that requires this test. And every house that Airhart Construction builds gets that blower door test, and it has actually since before the code made it mandatory. But for 40 years, every house we've energy sealed has had a blower door test, so we know what needs to be done to exceed the code numbers, to get below the code allowable air changes per hour. If you don't properly seal the house during the construction process, and you get to the end with a bad blower door test number, it's extremely difficult to do anything effective then.
Hey, Don, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Learned quite a bit today. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome, Sean. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, tune in next week as we learn about the advantages of cellulose insulation.